or working as a pedagogue, because that's not really what we do. But of course, you learn what you need to know. Well, some never learn, but if you work here, you know you need to learn. Yeah. And what is a little bit different with us is that we actually don't have January 1st. We have no money every year, so we're not on the budget as such. We have to make all the money that we spend. So of course we have salary is the biggest expense that we have, and then we have the expenses for the projects that we make. And whatever we do, we have to find that money somewhere. So, and we do that in different ways. Now it seems like we're getting the funding from EU for a smaller project. We are a mentor, we mentee. Is that the word? Yeah. I also function as a mentor for a group of our interns, which of course is very rare in a workplace, that you actually have people who are semi-professional mentors. You know, so that's like, I think it's 20-25% of our income comes that way now. But that means we're very, very close to the people that we work with. And we also have a very, very close collaboration with the part of the city that works with employment and unemployed people. So they ask our advice a lot, and we go into it. And that's also very important for our day-to-day life. So I perhaps is more a project manager, and a few of my colleagues are very, very close with the interns. And that's their main
job description.
Yeah, that's their interest. That's what's very important for them. So it's kind of like spinning plates always, because we always have to have an eye on the finance, and we have to work with the people who are responsible for these, basically responsible for the internships. We have a good relationship with them, and we have to talk with Henrik, and then we have to figure out how we do all these projects that we do. So a lot of things is happening. So we're not specialized in that way. But the way that we choose which projects to do is kind of important, because of course it has to be something. Well, I have to find it interesting. It has to be meaningful. First of all, we have to be able to do it, and all the practicalities. We have to look at the financing and so on and so on. But basically, we have to make sure that two things are available. It has to make sense for the organization. So it has to be, when we do a project, the interns help to do the project. So the project is not for them. The project is for the people that have some kind of handicap. So it has to be something that the organization can actually use and benefit from. And then it has to be something where you have a group of unemployed people that can actually benefit from that. So it has to be something and that group has to exist as well. We would love to do much more activities where people come in and work as a pedagogue, but that group simply doesn't exist. There are no people that are able to work as a pedagogue or with people to a large degree, and that are really good at it or able to do it right now, that are unemployed yet. So we can't, that area cannot be bigger than it is right now.
You can import from other countries.
Perhaps. Sometimes distance is also. As I didn't even mention, we will have between 40 and 50 interns at a time. So it's also, you can imagine, the day-to-day is very different from most workplaces. But of course we have to be very careful that it still is a workplace. It's not a service. It's not you come here and then go sit down around the table and spend the whole time discussing how you feel. That's not what it is. It's a workplace, and we have to make it a workplace, otherwise there's no room to grow, and we can't figure out what they're actually able to do in real life. And that's of course one of the major problems, and why people spend 10 years doing nothing, because you never really figure out what they're able to do, and they're not gonna be better at it sitting at home. So that's how we plan the projects. So that, as I said, it's kind of plate spinning. We have to make sure that every people at the other end think it's interesting, and it's actually we have to keep up on always what are the problems, what are the challenges, where do they need to go, where are they investing, and everything. So we need to figure that out in the organization and the city as a whole, and we have to figure out like what groups are they having trouble getting into the workplace at the other end. And these are two completely different parts of the city of Copenhagen that doesn't have any overlap or existing. So we have to be able to speak with them, and those are very, very, very different languages, very different attitudes and realities, basically, and different laws that they also have to do. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I hope that answers your questions. Who the people are, because that's always challenging, because we work at two levels. So we have to be able to produce something that is actually meaningful, and that the people with handicap can actually use, actually helps them. Or, it can be direct contact, or it can be more indirectly that you work with, for example, media, graphics, build a computer system, or I'll tell you about the gardens afterwards, while we do that. There is no real contact between our interns and people with handicap, but they're still making a new platform that can be used by the pedagogues. And this organization, we are very unique because we're very, very plastic. We can go where we can very, very, very quickly. We can go where there's a need. People can come to us with a project, and very quickly we can turn around and we can do that, and we can adjust, and everything else is of course been optimized to effectiveness every day. So you can say we have completely different skills and a completely different reality in our work life than everybody else on the other side of that door. So that's why we think it doesn't seem like it's very difficult to be effective, because they simply don't have any time, skill, or experience in doing these projects, and they don't know what's going on outside these walls, because they're supposed to be really good at doing what's inside these walls. And the management, of course, have plenty to do with their job as well. Yeah.
Another question. In Greece, for instance, we have a national pool for the unemployment. The unemployment people have to register in this national pool, and the public sector, a part of the public sector, can coordinate employment, typically connected, because it doesn't work very well to the enterprises. Okay, how it works here, and what is your?
Yeah, so like I said, we're kind of like the in-between. So what they will normally do, if you're a caseworker and you work with, your job is to get unemployed people employed, so that's a whole sector. That is a very specific sector that works in a very specific way. It's a big sector as well. They will either just